All right, today we're going to talk about negotiations. Now you've got the offer. Now what? Okay. So, I've got a lot of talent here, a lot of people who've negotiated. So let's go around the room and let's talk about what to do. I guess the question is, and I gave some good questions probably on our agenda. And I guess the question is, um, should you negotiate an offer, even if it's what you wanted? Can you negotiate beyond salary? And I thought I'd throw one in there. Does everybody here want a signing bonus on top of whatever else? Okay, I'm going to teach you guys how to get a signing bonus if there is one. Fair enough? Okay. So let's go through, and anybody who hasn't experienced this before I get into it. Um, oh, we lost somebody. Um, I saw Mike have some thumbs up here. So let's go and those who've negotiated something in the past in the negotiations after you have the offer, hop on. Mike,
Well, you know I've done it.
I know you have.
um, Negotiate anything and everything. Part of what makes a salary negotiation successful is if you can negotiate around salary as well. For instance, um, if you don't, if you love the salary offer, try to negotiate it anyway, but also ask for more vacation time. Um, One of the things that I try to do in my negotiations is try to offer more to them as well as I'm asking more of them. So, for instance, the job description may not include one of my key skills. So I ask, I assess interest in the person that I'm interviewing with, the hiring manager, as to whether or not they'd be interested in that sort of thing. And if they are, then I use that as a negotiating leverage point. Um, you know, it, Usually the starting point is to ask. And sometimes you get a little bit because they kind of expect it, and sometimes you don't. But negotiate vacation time, negotiate perks, negotiate a sign-on bonus, negotiate a company car, um, negotiate more or different responsibilities, negotiate having a mentor in the organization, negotiate being a mentor in the organization. Just, anything and everything that makes you a more attractive candidate, a more valuable candidate, one that's worthy of getting paid more. And I will say, I really lucked out one time. In fact, it was when I joined Fiserv. They came to me with an offer that I thought was a good one, and they even added more vacation time in and such. And I was ready to accept it, and then somebody offered to buy my business out from under me, but they wanted me to stay with them for a year in the process. So I went back to Fiserv and I said, guys, this offer that I got for my business is really pretty juicy. Um, and while I was on the phone with them, another one came in from another source, and I said, "Okay, sorry, I promise you, I'm not messing with you on this, but I just got another offer, and it's even better." So, I'm very interested in working with you guys. Do you have any maneuvering room in your offer? And they came back with something that was quite a bit more generous, and they got me.
Okay.
So
So,
it's all negotiation. The negotiation starts when your resume goes in, because your resume and your cover letter are part of your negotiating strategy, I think.
okay.
I'm done,
Do
unless
people
you want to ask a question.
do people have questions for Mike?
Did you sell the business anyway?
No, I let it slide through benign neglect, and now I'm trying to resurrect it. And by the way, I'm immensely frustrated with GoDaddy because they have changed their business strategy. I've been a customer of theirs for 20 years, and now all of a sudden they want to nickel and dime me for things that I already have. So I will probably be changing hosting providers.
Okay. No questions for Mike other than that? Okay. Who else
I
is
I
like to
got one
share?
question.
Okay, go ahead.
When during a
Roger, move your mic.
negotiation,
Roger, move your mic down.
Your mic's up over your head.
during a negotiation, have you ever tried to negotiate where you get more out of your 401k contributions?
I usually don't negotiate that at that point in time. I haven't even thought about negotiating that. I put more into my 401k just because I don't want to retire poor. But as far as any kind of match from them, I usually just, I never thought about it, Roger. Now I'm going to have to negotiate on that too. Thank you.
Hmm.
Okay. Anybody else? Okay. How about anybody else about what they've done to negotiate? So I got a lot of talent here, so I figure I might as well figure out what you guys have done. And I have lingo and stuff you might use, but I want to find out if anybody has some stuff they're already doing that might be the same thing. Don?
I really haven't negotiated, I realize much of it on when it comes to a job offer. I probably need to. I'm always hesitant because years ago when I actually had a job, I had a company, and mind you, it was probably a weird interview experience. I'll just start, that was a weird company, but they called and offered me the job and I asked just two questions just one was about health insurance, I believe, and another was about commission or whatever. And then they called me back about 3 or 4 hours later and told me they were withdrawing the job offer. They were withdrawing the job offer from me, which was, luckily I had a job at the time, and I was trying to decide if, so I had some, you know, I had some leverage, so it wasn't, so, one thing I need to do a better job of is looking for jobs when I have a job. So, because then you at least have some leverage, but I've negotiated my regular, sales career, but I always get very nervous from that one experience of asking, and these were just common questions that are you should be able to ask. So, but
Okay.
I have one here. It's
Okay.
Roger. In this time and era that we live in after COVID, um, working from home, negotiating whether they want you to be in the office full time or hybrid or all remote. So if you're working from remote, it will save you a lot of stress in driving. It'll save you a lot of money and wear and tear on your vehicle and having to go in every day, and save money on lunch and whatever else too. So um, if you can, like I've been looking at that as well as I go through the interviews, making sure that if you can, that I work from home.
Yeah, work from home is a great option, but I think first of all is that may come up early before the offer, but if not, here's the thing. I mean, I don't know how many people. So there's a people I call it the cool kids. They worked from home before COVID, and then we had COVID, and then a lot of people worked from home and did really great. Some of them were glad to go back to work. They missed that, that camaraderie. But you're right, Roger. Working from home has a lot of perks. Partly is not having to drive someplace and drive back. Also, if I were to put a spin on it, real estate's expensive. If you had 100 people that you got to provide cubicles to in a building and you don't have 100 people, they're all working from home, and maybe you have a place they can come in there, but you can't house them all at one time, which is, saves them some money, right? If they don't have to have as big an office. So
And what does office space go per square foot?
yeah, it depends on
You
the
know,
city. Yeah. All right. Um,
I I would
All right.
chime in there of be a little bit careful, because if being in the office and connecting with people isn't important to them, what's keeping them from replacing it with someone cheaper from a different country?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
So I think many people are probably like Don. Don says, I don't want to rock the boat. I got an offer. I better take it before it's withdrawn or whatever. How many people are worried about if they start having this conversation that they're just going to withdraw their offer? Anybody have that feeling?
I'll raise my hand since I'm the one who brought that up. But yeah.
Okay. All right. So let me ask for all those that are here, whether you got your screen on or don't have your screen on, those who have been part of this interviewing process, do you leave more money to offer the candidate? Do you make what you feel is a fair offer, but do you leave more money in case they counter offer? You do.
Yeah.
I've played it both ways. I mean,
Okay.
there have been candidates that were so good, I had to go all the way to the ceiling. Um, and then when they came back to negotiate, I had to go back to the well and find out if there was anything left that I could grab.
Okay.
But you know what? One of those people, I love that guy. My best hire ever.
Okay.
One thing I'm doing to this I market, because I realized my last job I probably could have gotten more money out of them, but the problem is they offered me what I told them I wanted in the first interview. So I kind of, being someone who I think has an honest person, I felt like, that would be somewhat dishonest, but I think I could have gotten more money out of them, in hindsight. So now I'm trying to give a range. So I want between here and here. So that way that we at least establish parameters of negotiation. So then if, they come back and they say, "Hey, offer me this." Well, hey, I can we go here, what have you. So at least we're in the parameters of it. So I'm not limiting myself, if that makes sense.
So Don,
Yeah.
one option, if you want, is if you have to give them a number. I mean, first off, always get them to give a number first if you can. Um, if not, or whenever you give a number, that number is just a starting point for your negotiations. At that point, you start talking about additional contributions you can make, or can you get more vacation or whatever, and maybe even throw in one unreasonable request, something that you don't think that they can hit. And then when they tell you, no, I can't hit that, well, in that case, can we bump the salary up another 10,000 or 20,000? It's just all. And by the way, as somebody who has hired people, um, I have a lot of respect for the people who are gutsy enough to come in with the with a negotiation. Now, I also respect those who know when they're beaten and know when to stop and take the job. So, but nobody ever offended me by trying.
So one of the things we talked about last week that I think is worthy of talking about is, you know, what our value was when we left our last job is what we think the value of this job is. It may be higher, maybe a little bit lower. At least we should know what that is. If we have insiders, they're a gem because they can look and see what they see the range is internally. But so now the offer comes, you get it. How do we approach that conversation? So Dawn, I'm going to pick on you. So just said, hey, I don't really want to because I did that once and they withdrew the offer. And I don't want, an offer is better than no offer, right? What's the old saying? A bird in the hand is better than two in the bush, right? And so I want to say that how do I approach it? Even if it's right what was my number, I just want to see if there's any more. So I think you can pick whatever jargon or verbiage you want. This is what I have used in the past. Don, this is a great offer. I'm excited to come and be part of your team. I was wondering. Wait, Don, you have to give me a number first. I'll give you a number. Give me some stats to negotiate. Throw a number out there. Throw all the things you want to throw at me.
So let's say, well, let's say 135,000 in salary,
Okay.
three weeks PTO vacation,
Okay.
um, and plus commission plan.
Okay. Anything else that comes with that?
Well, I guess we could go with the signing bonus. Let's go with the
Okay.
ten
Okay.
thousand
Okay.
dollar signing
We'll come
bonus.
that. Okay. Okay. Perfect. Okay. So let's just say, okay, that offers that. I might say something is, so there's a theory here. I call it the and or theory. The and theory means, Don, you gave me more than I expected on everything. I didn't expect you to give me 3 weeks, 135, or the commissions. So I'm just gonna see what I can get you to give this and that. Now, has anybody ever got a low offer and everything was low? Vacation, um, bonus, or no bonus, or the pay. And so I would have so there's one that's and one that's or. So or sorry, I said that backwards. Or is I would like this or that if everything is great. And means I want to try and see what I can nudge in every area. I do not want to be ungrateful or sound greedy. So I might say something like, Don, I'm really excited to come on board. Um, I was wondering if we could come closer to 138, 697. And
Yeah, yeah.
and you know, 18 days of PTO versus 15. And also yeah, I wondered if we could come closer to those.
Well, so I'd probably say, well, that salary range is within our range, so you can go there, but I can't go move on the PTO because the PTO is determined by how long you're here for. So I can give you this. I
Okay.
can give you.
Okay. Um, so what if you
By
would
the
say,
way, Steve,
yes.
I want to point out to the group, the first thing that you said was something like, "I'm excited about this offer and or this opportunity, and know I would do good work for you." That's powerful. That's starting them out with a little bit of praise. It also cements your enthusiasm for the opportunity, and it kind of also signals, hey, we're in negotiation now.
I'm,
You
I'm, I'm
won.
coming. I'm coming on board no matter what. I'm just trying to see if I can get a little bit more because I got news for you guys. If you think like 2 months into this, I'm going to renegotiate, I don't think it's going to happen. I might. So I've been doing this a long time. For Ladon, Ladonna hasn't met me till today, so she's brave to come here on meet everybody. Um, so I've been doing this, but I decided to go to my administrative assistant. You guys know who that is, right? Her name's Chat GPT, right? So I got a great chat. I looked over it before. I go like, oh, this is great. This is exactly what I would tell, plus a little bit more. So, you're right, Mike. I want to be excited. I'm looking forward to coming on board. I just wondered. I'm just a curious critter. This isn't a deal breaker unless I did have a minimum number and we didn't hit that. I can step away, right? I can say no, right? I can. But what did I do? I didn't give a specific number. Matter of fact, what was different, Don, about my number?
Well, the number you gave looked like it was like wasn't just 135, it was 138 and 217 or something. It was, and that's a good, that's what you teach in sales is you give a number that's not a 165 or 160. You give well, just like you did, because then it looks like you've really researched it.
Yeah, well,
You
not
might
only
not have.
that, what if, I mean, we don't know what's going on in the mind of the people, but that person it's curious, right? It was 138, 697. Okay. very specific. Maybe the person goes, I'll bet you if you back that out 12 months, that's what he needs to live on. Who knows? But I'm just going to throw it out there. Typically, a company will meet you halfway. They'll round it up or round it down to that. That's typically what will happen. What's the worst thing they could say? Steve, that's our best offer. Okay. And the PTO, it's best offer. Okay. Oh, you know what, Dawn, I'm looking at this offer you have here and I'm reading through all the benefit package. I missed something on here. Something I didn't see. How much is the signing bonus, Dawn?
That's a good way to phrase it.
No,
We
no,
don't
no.
give a
We're
signing
at a role
bonus.
play. How much is the
Oh,
sign?
sorry,
How much is
sorry.
the signing
We
bonus,
we
Dawn?
we don't give signing bonuses.
Okay. For some reason, I thought you did. Huh. Okay. What did I just do? If they ever gave a signing bonus and he didn't, it's going to bother him for a long time. By the way, I hate to tell you, I had a mother who taught me about manipulation. I don't use it very often, but I know how to use it in the sales world. And and that's where you use it, what did I ask? I asked an assumptive question. How much is the signing bonus? And Don told me one of the answers I'll get. There isn't one. And all I said is, oh, for some reason I thought there was. Okay. Now, what would if Don said, God, dang it. He asked for the signing bonus, and we do have one. Don has a he has a bank account that has money in that signing bonus, and he doesn't want to spend very much. He spent as much as 10 grand, but he's going to ask me this question, and I'm going to answer this way. He's going to say, Steve, how much were you expecting it to be? And you should have this dialed in immediately with immediate answer. Don, most companies are offering me anywhere between 10 and 15% of my annual income, but I know you will be fair. I know you will be fair. I like that last part. I'll say it another time. I know you will be fair. And Don goes, normally we don't do this. Will 3 grand be enough? That'd be great. Doesn't matter what it is. Now, Roger,
If a company is offering referral bonuses to their employees, why wouldn't they give you a signing bonus?
depends. It depends on the role and how in demand and how many people that were first and second place to you. If there was a big difference, like Mike Anderson said a minute ago, this last person he hired was he threw as much at them as he could, and he said it was one of the best hires he's ever made. Okay, we have a belief system, but if number 2 and 3 it was neck and neck of that choice, I may choose not to. If I don't need to spend the money, I'm not going to. I mean, it's all about, I don't know, I don't do it here at this company. For 20 years I haven't, but for 17 years I controlled profit and loss, and I was looking at it all the time, every month. I was looking at all my expenses and everything like that. I had to you know, and so I think that some employers look at us just like we look when we do purchases. We're getting a good deal. Would you agree?
No.
I mean, when somebody say you're overqualified, I know we talked about this last week. I think your response is, I'm the most qualified. All that I bring to the table, yeah, I don't want to say you'd be foolish not to hire me, but I think, I my experience, my added benefit will enhance this position. I can't imagine anybody as qualified as I am. Did that switch the role of qualified versus overqualified? I think it does. Um, if they're worried about money, let's talk. They're making assumptions before they know. So here's the tip for today. Number one, you do not have to negotiate, but you could say, I would just wonder if we could come closer to this number. Now, if you want a specific number, you can do that too. If you feel like the number's great and you just want a little more PTO, you can try to do that. What are the other things that you can negotiate? Is there a quarterly or a annual bonus? Do I want to know how much money they contribute into my 401k? Is there a pension plan? Will I be getting vested stock? Oh, by the way, what's the one question we all want to know? Speaking about vesting, what does that word mean? Let's clarify that. What does vesting mean?
That when you if they have a pension and you fully qualify for the pension.
That's one. Okay.
So
Vesting.
they give you something, but they hold part of it back until certain conditions are met, such as they give you a bonus, but you can only access one third of your bonus this year, one third next year, one third the next year.
Or they match your 401k at 100% to the first $10,000. Well, that's probably really high, but for the first whatever. And then after that, it's half of that, up to a certain amount that. And so what does that mean? If you're vested in 2 years, if the job comes to an end before the 2 year mark, you're only half vested. So you don't get all the money that was in the 401k that they contributed to. Does that make sense? So there's all that. What about stock options? Has anybody here got stock options before? Okay. All right. Is that a good thing?
Oh, heck yeah.
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 Especially if it's a smaller company and they're growing, and we know that they're maybe going to merge or somebody with somebody else. We love it when that happens, right? When somebody wants to buy them, we want to hurry up and get our money before, and hopefully the company keeps on going up. But I don't know, what did Mike say? His company was a fortune lower and now they're a fortune higher, right? And that's not a good thing, right? Their stock has dropped. Okay.
I was gonna joke and say it depends upon the company. Stock options can be great, but sometimes they might be no better than just to go start a fire with, depending on the company
That's
is.
exactly true. That's exactly true. That's why it doesn't cost them anything until
Yeah,
you leverage it, till you leverage it. Um,
yeah.
Well, and just I mean, other things to negotiate, just regular health and medical benefits and all that kind of stuff. That's all part of the payment that you're getting for your work.
now, are there times you can negotiate that save them money that might be something? Angela is one of those. She says, "Do I tell them I don't need insurance? Wait until the offer comes. Wait until the offer because she has insurance with her husband." She asked that question, and I think, you know, um, anything that you do that will benefit them, that's something at the end that you can do tit for tat if you want to. Roger, you had your finger up.
Yeah, when I was with Albertsons, American Stores, Super Value, one of the things that I had uh, every year is I was able to go to at least one or two paid trainings wherever it was in the country, which would cover your training course fees, your meals, your lodging, your car expenses, your airfare. So that's something you may also want to try to negotiate as well.
Yeah, so we get this offer, and the money that comes that we spend, or we get to whatever after Uncle Sam takes it, I guess. That's our true, our net that we get to spend. But benefit packages, they could be as much as 25 or 45% as much above and beyond that. And I think it's really important to look at that. And if you haven't had the greatest benefits, you should look, you should probably Google it and say, what are all the things I have? So, I don't know how many other people besides Mike might have had a car. I don't think anybody else here has, but you might have. Did you have one, Roger?
No, that's a great idea, having a vehicle.
you know, um, for those who are going to have to travel into the office, what is something like I mean, I'm looking at Brad and Brad's too far away for this, but you know, if the time in the front runner, which Donna, that's our rail train that takes us from here where I am all the way clear to Provo, and you know, if you don't mind doing that and it's close enough to the office, they may just pay the pass, and that saves you a lot of money. You drive to the train station, pop on, and takes you almost right to where you're going, you know? So I guess there's all those different perks. And so I don't know. Let's recap. Should you? It depends. I think there's always money left on the table if you don't. If you don't ask, there's a I'm pretty sure they're not going to say, oh, we realized Don was really worth an extra 15,000 or $25,000. We're afraid he's going to leave. Now that does happen in life, right? I get an unexpected bonus, but I don't think very often. So, um, I think if you do it, like
It's
Mike said, be enthusiastic. You're coming on board. Now we're just finishing out the minor details, and we're going to try to get as much as we can if we feel that we would like a little bit more. We don't want to be, um, what's the word? We don't want to come across as hard to work with or greedy, because that would, Don, um, that could get a, they've taken away the offer. We don't want that to happen. So,
Can I
questions?
just say what's something that's why this go around, I'm really trying to make sure we set the parameters in the beginning, kind of that's why instead of just giving them a number, giving them a range. So then you at least you've opened yourself up to negotiation. If they go low, then you've at least said, if you said, hey, if they come back and they give you your low end of what your offer you'd ask for in the range, then you can at least you have room to go up and you're not feel like you're going back on what you told them. So, but yeah, and Mike had mentioned it before. I've almost every interview I think I've had lately, every time I've asked them for the range on what the position is, the recruiter has given it to me. That's new. Last time, um, when I've had this before, they haven't been so willing to tell you what the ranges were. And so, and just kind of one before I was expecting for my research, I thought it was like $100,000 job, and then suddenly, when I met with the recruiter, they're like the job was around a $200,000 job. So I was all prepared how to manipulate. And I was like, oh yes, when he said, yeah, that's within my range, when he. So, but just make sure you ask that instead of giving them the number.
Yeah, you almost, I can make that, I could make it work. Um,
Yeah.
so I guess the question is, and this is going back to last week, but I think it's relevant and for
By the
Dawn.
way, there's another technique there, a little minor neuro-linguistic programming technique.
Yeah.
You suck a little air through your teeth before you say, I can make that work. Go, yeah, I can make that work.
Um,
Use that one with caution.
so Dawn brought up something, and we'll kind of revert back to last week. Um, and that is, I gave a number when I applied early, so now I feel like I'm committed to that number. And I'm going to say that was just to get the interview. And you have to get through a couple of screenings. Can anybody tell me what screenings I have to get to before I get to talk to the hiring manager, he or she, whoever that might be that has the ability to hire me? How many screens do I maybe have to go through before that?
It just really depends.
It's always good to
The other
ask
day
about
I
the
found
process.
myself, yeah, sorry.
No, go ahead. Go ahead. You go ahead, and then Mike can go.
Well, no, I said it just depends. I said the other day I found myself in what was the final interview, and I had no clue it was the final interview. So, but then I've got to actually have Amazon that I'm talking to, and they've got a
Oh, wow.
pre-interview meeting. They've got a pre-interview meeting, and then they've got book out a half a day on August 26th for three 45-minute sessions. And this is after he had to do like an hour long, at least about an hour long assessment to begin. And I don't even know where we go from there.
Oh,
So,
your next one is talk to your recruiter. Your recruiter, if you ask her or him, they'll coach you on all the things to prepare for. So
Yeah.
yeah, so Amazon's it's usually pretty quick, but they're maybe 1 or 2 long days. And kind of if you do really well, you're going to the next one and the next one. You have all these people you're meeting with. So yeah. Mike, you were saying something.
Yeah, I don't remember. Sorry. Oh
Okay.
yeah, it's consistent with what you just said, Steve. You can always ask what the process looks like.
Yeah, well, and where I was going is the fact is I've got to put a number in to get past the ATS. If the ATS is my number's too high to get through their system, could it be an automatic rejection? Would you guys agree? And if the does the hiring manager have more latitude than the recruiter or HR person?
Yes.
They do. Because does the recruiter or the HR person control the hiring manager's budget for them? No, no. So I start here, and then, even if I get to the hiring manager and, how do I know that the hiring manager has the notes from the recruiter I talked to? Yeah, I was wondering what you've budgeted for somebody with my years of experience, and what the range was. I saw some things online, but I'm not sure where it is. Where do you see me fitting in? And so again, Don, if I can get them to play, I will. If not, I have to be prepared. So, and maybe I'll include the salary question. Any more for negotiations? Because I have 2 more things I would like to share today. But did this help in some ideas for negotiations?
Yes, it did.
Okay. All right. Well, this is negotiations, and we will end this recording.